Welcome back to The Exchange. I'm Mark Sanchez along with Nick Mangold, and we'll jump into the first snap immediately. Nick, I want to talk food. I want to talk pregame meals. What was it that got you to your all-pro status on the field, big dog? What did you do? What did you eat before games? I could barely eat. I waited for the game and just ate on the sidelines, but go ahead. You tell me.
Eat your hot dogs during the game. I just tricked a lot of people. That's how I became, got to a few Pro Bowls. So I have another show. You probably don't watch it because you don't like me. Grilled, or no, it's not Grilled. It's Tailgate Center. No. And a couple of shows, kind of a big deal. Don't know you know that. Whoa. And so we had the current nutritionist on, Nikki. And so we're whipping it up, and we're talking, we're yakking it up. And I asked her, I was like, can you rate my pregame meal? And so, was it good? Was it bad? What would you do differently? So I told her, and my pregame meal was it was the same thing every week, no matter what time the game was. Like it did not matter. It was steak, and a little bit of eggs, and I think and then pasta. Usually, it was a rigatoni, some circle-shaped pasta. Like that was my pregame meal. And she just looks at me and she goes, I would not recommend that. Yeah, she gave it 2 thumbs down. I was like, that is terrible. It was like, well, I think it worked. Like, it couldn't have been that bad.
Yeah,
yours?
I mean,
other than the hot dog?
It's hard. Dude, it's hard. Like some games I'd be real nervous for and couldn't eat. Some games I'd be starving. But I preferred earlier games so I wouldn't have to worry about eating throughout the day. So when we had a 1 o'clock start, that was easy because you basically like breakfast and then like a quick little bar or something before the game. But I preferred breakfast, like hash browns, eggs, like a scramble, something. Even like one of those berry shakes that they'd make us in the hotel, something basic like that. But I mean, nowadays these guys and their nutritionists and counting all the carbs and everything they need, to fuel their engine, so to speak. It's incredible what these guys can do nowadays, but whatever works, as long as you play well, you just keep eating the same thing until you lose and then find something new.
You switch it up, that's how it goes. So we obviously never made it, and it's very disappointing, but Super Bowl, right? Do you do a big party? Do you do something quiet? What is your Super Bowl routine ritual?
Yeah, so I've had a couple, things at my house where you invite, 50 people or something, and you have the big Super Bowl party and get somebody to cook and do the whole deal. But I just found that you're hosting the whole time, you miss the entire game. And it's not that I don't enjoy the interaction, but there's all the cleanup. I mean, there's a lot that goes into party planning, and that's not my favorite thing to do. I enjoy the entertaining part, but I just, I don't want to do all the cleanup and stuff. So I kind of like, going somewhere I can watch it at somebody else's house and maybe help them clean up a little bit without feeling like a jerk and just showing up, eating, making a mess and leaving. But it's hard to watch it with that many people. And then just like if I was going to watch a movie with an actor or somebody who's been in movies, I would just naturally start asking them questions. So, people are like, oh, why'd they throw that ball? Or, oh, that guy's wide open. And then you got to get into like the full discussion about like, yeah, like he's not that open, or yeah, it's actually not that easy, or whatever. So I don't know. I kind of prefer to watch it, I guess, on my own now. I took the coolest thing I did was I got to do this deal with Verizon, and we got to go to the game in Miami, Chiefs, 49ers. And DJ was there, my son. Dude, he was like 3.5 at the time, and he was just like blown away at the pageantry of the whole thing, the fireworks, the crowd going crazy, and it was a great ball game. He's got a blue tongue from all the snacks or whatever they let him eat in the dang suite. So he had a ball, and he thought like that's the way football is. And I'm like, dude, it's not really like that. Like that was a really nice version of things. So you're welcome, and you're awfully spoiled. So, but that was one of the coolest Super Bowls. What about you?
So I watch Super Bowl. I don't do a big party. Never have. I always watch Super Bowl at home. I make my chili, and Matthew makes a chili, and we watch the Super Bowl together. We do it. He's been making his own chili. He's been doing it for 6 years now or so, and it's cool. That's our ritual. I try to do something for like a championship game where it might be a little bit bigger and everything. But for Super Bowl Sunday, it's my chili, which is my segue to our guest.
Who do we got?
Right, so let me tell you about my chili, and then we'll get into it. My chili, it came in second place on a cooking show. That cooking show, this was back in like 2008. That cooking show is hosted by our guest, Rachael Ray, and her husband, John. We have them for a lovely interview coming up. So let's get right to that. And welcome back to our interview. We have our very special guest, friends, family, Rach and John. Welcome into the exchange with me and Mark Sanchez. Thank you so much for taking the time to come join us.
Thank you for having us. We're so excited.
Well, we're good friends with you, Nick, for a long time. And Mark, we're now new friends with you. But we both are longtime Jets fans. So we're thrilled to be here.
And that's got to be my first.
I was a little tiny, like 11 or 12-year-old kid because my best friend growing up was my cousin, Rich.
Right.
I grew up in Long Island. He lived like a town over from me. His name was Richard Todd Dolce. Hence, even though we're both Yankee fans, so we should have been Giants fans, Richard Todd happened to be the quarterback of the Jets at the time.
Of course.
So we became Jets fans forever, and here we are years later.
Decades
awesome.
of pain later.
Well,
but my year of birth was the last lucky year for the Jets.
Well, the last year they won a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
but we'll get there again.
The last year we won a Super
Just a
Bowl.
matter of
It was the year
time.
I was born.
You two
I'm a
guys,
good vintage.
both of you almost got us there. 2010. I remember
That's
it like
true.
it was yesterday.
Yep.
So we're hanging in.
We got there. And Rach, where did you come from? Like your Jet fandom? Is it family? Is it, similar? Did you know Richard Todd at the same time?
I did not know Richard Todd at the same time.
Did you know a Ken O'Brien, perhaps?
No, it was the year I was born. Those were the champs. And I guess that's where it comes from. I've always loved to watch football. I was a football cheerleader, which sounds so lame. But I actually just was a cheerleader so I could watch football. I just have always been a fan of football. And I guess I chose that team because of the year I was born. I am also, which is really hard in my home, I'm also a Boston Red Sox fan, and my husband's a Yankee fan. So I'm a really weird split ticket. But it's not so weird in upstate New York. We live on very close.
Yeah, New England's right here.
New England is right here. So there's a lot of people that are both fans of like the Patriots versus the Jets or the Giants. I've just always been a Jets fan since I was a baby, and that's that. And, well, I got a couple of crushes over the years when it came to the Red Sox. So I guess that's what kept me in that ballpark, so to speak.
Understandable. And, I find it interesting, when we've been doing this for so long and talking to different people and all their fandom and everything and how they've grown into it. So being, almost lifelong fans, what is your favorite Jets memory? Like, is it a game? Is it a season? What do you got?
I love going back to like the early 80s with the sack exchange. That was such an exciting time. And Al Toon, and I know for me when I was a kid, like, the Giants were the big fish in the pond, but the Jets were always the more exciting team to me. They threw the ball more. They were just more exciting to watch. So, I think about those days. I was alive, but I was only 1 year old when Broadway Joe was the quarterback.
But that's it. That's the sexy factor.
Yeah.
Like for chicks, it's the sexy factor. You always want the underdog, and you want the guy who wears fur coats, and you want Broadway. Like you want it's just such a daydream.
Remember the legs commercial?
Oh my God,
with the
so
The pantyhose.
It's so cool and sexy, and it's so cool to be on the side of the underdog and to always be scrapping and fighting. And again, it was the year I was born, they were the champs, you know. So for me, it was always a kind of a legacy thing, and then just the sexy factor of it. It's always cool to be in that club of a little bit of an outsider, but always in the game, you know. And yeah, Joe Namath was like and a bag of chips and some pantyhose
and some pantyhose.
Both of you guys gave
That's
us,
how the saying goes.
you guys, both of you gave us really exciting years. You know, the early 2000s, and you know, it was that was exciting for us. But you know that you guys were a dynasty back then, and yeah, that was.
And when
a lot of fun.
you're in. You got to stay in. You know.
But
you go green, you got to stay green.
You know what they say? You're only as good as your center.
That's exactly. There you go.
That okay. I learned that one. I learned today. I learned you're all that, a bag of chips and a pair of pantyhose. That's a winner. But it just sounds like when you talk about us, it's just we weren't sexy enough. Is that our issue, Nick and I?
No, you're both very sexy in your own way. I mean, Nick's a family man.
In your own way? Hold on. 20-second timeout.
Wait, time out.
That's like, is she pretty? You know, she's got a great personality.
So long. I've held his children. I know his wife. Like, he's like my brother, so I can't think about him like that. And of course you're sexy. I mean, but you know that, right? I mean, EQ and covers.
I was just fishing for compliments.
All of those G-suits that you were stuck in.
I mean, I think that's a question.
All right.
Nick, you had, you know, his hand between your legs for many years.
Did he ever?
You know, it was very nice.
Okay, no, we're
my chest is getting hot.
This is going off the rails.
Same.
This is usually where we
comfortable.
Mark,
okay, so
coat,
go back to. No, it's at the cleaners.
In the legs?
Okay, no.
Hey, when you're playing up in the park, you know those warm hands help.
That's right. That's right. But my fur coat is at the dry cleaners with my pantyhose. So I'm going to get to the next question. And I got to know, we were talking about sexy. I'm going to say the name. It's almost like Lord Voldemort for Jets fans, but Tom Brady, don't get mad. Nick Mangold, my co-host, went on your show, Miss Rachael Ray, and said, I kind of like Tom Brady now. Yeah. How did that make you feel?
I agreed with him. And I still do. It's tough for John. It really is.
Well, you know what? Now that
I have a tremendous amount of respect for him.
Now that he's in the NFC, you know, he doesn't bother me anymore. He's a Buck, you know, unless it's the Super Bowl. But other than that, I'd rather him be a Buck than a Patriot. That's for sure.
He is.
That's fair. I mean,
that is legit.
Yeah, no.
No two ways about that.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with his.
And you can't argue with
his talent.
Reality, you know. I mean, any more than I argue with science, I don't argue with statistics. You know, I mean, in any field, and that's just that. He deserves everyone's respect. You know, whether you agree with every part of his philosophy or his private life or whatever, who cares? He is what he is. He is a singular talent, and he seems to be a very devoted and loving dad and husband and very dedicated player. And that's it. John is a little harder sell, but I have respect for him.
But at least he's not, you know, just absolutely shredding the AFC East. So that's good. I kind of agree with you. Once you get out of that deal, like
to the Jets anymore.
Right. So
now he's got to worry about Mac Jones.
That's right.
So I would just like to clarify a little bit. I still hate Patriots Tom Brady. It's just Buccaneers Tom Brady I kind of like. Like it's
fair.
two different, like it's two completely separate things here.
Well, he was your arch enemy. I mean, that's just what it was.
Right. So I hate Patriots Tom Brady. Kind of like Buccaneers Tom Brady.
Patriots Tom Brady was Darth Vader.
I love how Nick just breaks it. And that's pretty much it for us. That's exactly where we landed, and that's exactly when we came to that distinction in our own house. And very well said, Nick.
Thank you. Now, Rach, you are obviously so well known for cooking, food, everything. We have just about every one of your cookbooks at home. I think most of our meals are Rachael Ray meals. So what would be your, like, if you were, let's say you were playing for the Jets, and you were going in before a game and having a pregame meal, what would be your perfect pregame meal if you were playing on the Jets?
Pre-game, you need big pasta and carbs.
Probably want
right?
you want to carb up.
Yeah, you want to carb up a bit. So big pre-game pasta. I just wrote a nice pasta today for Howard Stern and his wife Beth. Pasta tossed with herb ricotta, mafalda, or this little shortcut square pasta that looks like baby lasagna, tossed with lots of fresh blanched spinach and tons of herbs and ricotta cheese, and then fresh tomato basil sauce all over the top. So very light, but very filling and very flavorful, and lots of carbs without being heavy. There's no like cheese melted on top. It's not lasagna, but it hits all those great notes. It's really herbaceous. It's vivacious. I think that would be a great pregame. Post-game, just sliced roast and charred bread, like a porchetta rolled pork belly around a pork loin with the rosemary and the zest and the garlic and the herbs in between, just with tons of lemon juice and broccoli rabe and slam and rolls, or some sliced pork loin with apples and pears and shallots. You could slam on some bread after. I think a roast after, or tenderloin with horseradish cream and some watercress on baguette, also nice. So like pregame, a pasta that's flavorful but not too heavy, and postgame, bread and meat.
Nice.
Now,
I'm in. One, I'm hungry. Two,
I did my job.
This is amazing.
Oh, by the way, I just made the show we just finished was a Friday show. So John made a cocktail. He made a Sicilian Negroni, and I made a Sicilian Sammy night. It was sandwich night. Fridays are sandwich or casual food night. And it was veal marsala and chicken marsala on ciabatta with melted fontina valdosta. They were melts served open face, and you slammed it shut. John scarfed down an entire veal marsala in like 7 minutes.
I think I still have the chicken marsala awaiting me.
So there you go, the meat and the bread. That would be a no.
Now,
Okay.
so John,
every day, I'm very lucky.
John, I know, you do the drinks and you're the cocktail mixologist. So if the pregame meal is pasta and postgame meal is meat and bread, what is our post? Because we're not going to do a pregame cocktail. What's our post-game cocktail after you get done playing 60-minute? What would be your go-to? Like, all right, this is what I got to have in the parking lot before we head out.
Well, hopefully a big thing of Gatorade poured over your head.
Yes.
Champagne, something with champagne, because we're assuming we won the game.
Of course.
And I don't think if it's post-game, you're gonna go home. Maybe you're driving. You don't want to overdo it. So maybe like, how about an Aperol Spritz with champagne?
Honey,
That's for girls?
it's for girls, honey. You gotta man it up.
All right, we're going to do
Nick loves those.
Yes, a michelada.
Beer,
a roti.
hot sauce.
I love those.
You gotta get a roti with some balls, baby.
Yeah, I'm doing a michelada.
Okay, now we're speaking my language. Let's continue this.
A michelada.
I heard
On the list.
unbelievable Jets fan.
Yo,
We got a special guest.
Whoa,
there?
whoa.
Jets fan? Are you Rachel?
Yes.
I can't hear anything. How you doing?
Hi, baby. I'm doing great. We were just talking about a michelada with balls, maybe a little shot of tequila in it.
Well, either way, I heard you're an unbelievable Jets fans. We got to get you out here. And I was
that
walking by. I
Coach?
was like, get him out here. So, Sanchez, what's up, man?
Anytime,
What's up,
man.
Coach?
I
you
am
doing?
always ready and available.
Wow.
And I come with food, as Nick will tell you.
I need some. I got to gain some weight. All right. Well, take care, guys.
It's too much
God.
stress. It's too much stress.
So fun to see you.
I
That
love
was
it. That's awesome. How about that?
That was amazing.
I thought he was talking to me like, hey, we got to get you out. We know you're a big Jets fan. I was like, cool, man. I'm there.
No,
No,
he wasn't talking to you.
I go with pasta.
Yeah, I know. I get it. Let's see. I was going to ask.
To fill his stomach, man. Nick, anytime you want, I travel with food. You know me.
Oh, yes. Yes, you do, and it's delicious.
I have brought it literally to the stadium, haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
I have brought
Yes, you
it
have.
literally to the stadium.
I would like to do that also.
Nick has the pocket like that.
The pocket.
Explain.
I got
How do-
chills. That's cool.
How do we?
You never know who's
How
going to
do
be
we-
wandering by the studio.
Oh no, we have somebody else. Or are we good?
No.
We clear?
No, that you're still
Okay.
just stuck with me.
I'm stuck. Okay. So I got to know, you're going pregame, postgame. We got the drinks dialed in. We got all the food taken care of. But what about when you guys watch a game or even the Super Bowl? Is it a little weird because people are just kind of looking at Rachel like, hey, what are you going to make us? Like, do you hate doing that stuff, or do you like cooking for Super Bowls, or what's Super Bowl like in your home?
I haven't cooked for Super Bowl in a few years for obvious reasons because of the pandemic. But sometimes it's awesome and it goes perfect. And sometimes it breaks my heart. One year we had some friends over and no one ate anything. I had oven baked potato skins to make them healthier for everybody, stuffed 3 different ways. I made 2 different chilies and different wings and all sorts of stuff.
And the only thing anyone ate was like a bunch of little fun-sized Snickers bars.
Yeah, and they all ate like candy. I mean, there was actors and people that are on TV a lot, and they didn't eat anything because they were worried about their appearance the next day. And I'm like, wow. So we actually.
I got a lot of questions.
And I have been graced enough to have gone to a couple of Super Bowls because I was cooking, a pregame show for a network or something, doing something in part of the programming. The last one I think we went to, was it the one where Beyonce burned out the lights?
Yeah, we went
In New
to
Orleans.
the Super Bowl
Yeah.
in New Orleans when they had the blackout.
When they had the
Oh, yeah.
blackout, we had to walk back to the hotel in a blackout.
That's
And we went back to the
crazy.
hotel. We watched this.
So we're like, we watched the Super Bowl with Joe Montana
Yeah, we went back to the hotel
and Ryan
watched,
Tedder.
right, and watched the Super Bowl from the lobby,
Yeah.
and Joe Montana was there. So we're like, okay, I think this is
And one of the
where we wanna
opening
be.
acts, of course.
Yeah, and Ryan Tedder from
Yeah.
One Republic.
And his whole band was there. So
Whoa.
we had a good time. Ultimately, we ended up in the bar watching it on TV for the second half, and that was awesome. It was great. But what
That's
we learned
great.
was maybe we should just watch from home from now on, and that's what we do. I always make John a stuffed bread or a sub or Phillies of one sort or another.
I love the
I make
Phillies.
a bajillion different types of Phillies. And John likes the Chicago style with the works and homemade giardiniera the best, I think. But I make a bunch of different ones. But we usually just keep it pretty chill, and it's just us and the dog. Used to be Isabel. She passed away, of course, during the pandemic. God rest her soul. And now it's Bella. She's the size of a donkey. She kicked someone off the sofa.
She's about
She's
80 pounds.
80 pounds at a year and
Whoa.
4 months or 5 months. Yeah, she's huge. Huge girl.
So do you
She's
cook
a-
actual meals for the dog, or do you give her? Whoa. It's intense.
Do you guys
Great on the football team, though, wouldn't she, honey?
She'd be a great receiver.
She beats the hell out of me every night, and she's great at catching stuff, and she uses both of her hooves. I mean, she's something. She's strong girl.
That's awesome.
So I know that you guys just finished your dream home in Italy, which
Yes!
has to be amazing. So can you tell me?
Day before yesterday.
Can you tell me a little bit about why that's your dream home and how that all came to be, and then what it's like? I don't know if you have been over there in the fall, but what it's like trying to watch a football game in Italy, where the time difference and everything.
All day.
It's really complicated. It's not like I can just turn on the TV and watch a football game.
It's a nightmare.
I've tried apps. We don't, a direct TV app or this app or that app. And I don't know, nothing seems to work. There's something over there called Denzin or something, which I haven't quite figured out yet.
DAZN.
I think you watch the games, but I think you can't watch them
It's
live.
past tense, right? It's after it's over.
Oh,
And that's the saddest part.
Really complicated.
We just came back, and it was a really long. I mean, we were only gone 10 days, but it's it was during the peak and the crescendo of regular season.
I had a hard time.
Really hard for us.
I have a hard time watching Jet games in upstate New York. They don't televise all.
But they don't televise them anymore here.
So then I'm watching the Red Zone. I'm watching a piece of every game.
The Red Zone makes me feel so schizophrenic. I feel like I'm in the movie Split. But the reason I wanted a home in Italy was when I was a little girl, my grandfather lived with us, and he was my nono was my nanny. My grandpa was my caretaker when I was very little. And I was with him always, like around the clock. And for me, my fairy tales were his stories of growing up in Italy. My grandfather was one of 14. The 4 youngest came to America. My mother was the firstborn of 12. 10 survived. She's the firstborn of 10 that survived. She's the eldest child. He lived with us from the time I was born until he died when I was around 8 and a half. And he was my first and best friend. He taught me everything. Everything. He taught me how to read. He taught me how to think. He taught me how to be. But all of my bedtime stories were stories of his life when he was a boy in Italy. And so all of my life, I always thought one day I want to have that. I never thought about who I would marry or what job I would have or what my life would be or what profession I would partake in. I just dreamed of one day having a place in Italy. And when I saw the land that we bought, my husband said, "This looks like a war zone." He actually called it Aleppo. And I said, "Honey, always too soon and not appropriate." But there was no running water. It was filled with animal carcasses. There was no electricity. There was nothing. It wasn't a house. It was a stable and a barn keep hut next to the stable.
Rubble.
And it was filled with dead animals and just refuse. And John's like, "And you want this?" But it was surrounded by 66 hectares of amazing grapes and olive trees and rosemary bushes and beautiful vistas. It's beautiful. And that's what I wanted. I could see something different in my head. And so we bought the land at what I think was a very fair price. And then the pandemic happened. And our house burned down and our apartment flooded 3 times in New York City and is still under construction and we have no roof. Yeah. And we were trying to build out this land that we bought just before the pandemic happened. So we were, and our dog died.
And we lived in our guest house for about a year.
And a half, almost 2 years. It was a weird time, man. Very weird time.
About 3 years.
We caught you at a wild time. Unbelievable.
Sounds
well,
like
the resilience, I can appreciate that. That is incredible.
Right. It was cursed and blessed at the same time.
100%.
But the week my house burned down, I taught from the guest house in borrowed sweats with no makeup, 10,000 people all over the world. for our children's cooking class. We did a free kids cooking camp, and it was the last class.
Yeah.
It was 6 days after our house burned, and we made meatless spaghetti and meatballs with Impossible.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I love it. So we're almost done here. We won't take up too much more of your time. We always do a rapid fire question segment to finish this up.
Because Nick knows I talk too much.
So this
No.
is one.
No, these are great stories, though.
These are the ones that comes to your mind. We obviously we already talked about baseball, so we're not going to do the Mets Yankees, but we got to start off still sports. Knicks or Nets?
I'm Knicks.
Knicks.
Because I go back to the 90s and, Patrick
Yes.
Ewing.
Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, what about Steakhouse?
I think of them as jerseys still. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
Baseball, though, this girl threw out a ball from the mound at Fenway. Thank you. Right over the plate. Not a heater, but never touched the ground. Veritek caught, crouched, proper, did it, practiced for months.
Practice for months.
I did. I have a
I've-
pitch back, and I practiced religiously. I was not
That's
going to
pretty
get myself from the mound right over the plate. Just saying.
That's good. That's impressive. If you're going to go to a steakhouse, I'm sure you probably cook better steaks anyway, but Peter Luger's or Delmonico's?
Yep.
Peter Luger is my favorite.
Let's go.
In Brooklyn, yeah. Peter Luger is, I don't know, something about it. It's been there for hundreds of years, and it's like really old school New York. The waiters are really like
Grumpy and mean, and he appreciates
but they're great.
that.
I love it. I love everything about it. And the steaks just
That goes every couple of
I
months
agree.
for steaks with men night, and then they all like smoke cigars and drink scotch all
Yeah.
night. He and his buddies, and I think that's your all-time favorite. Is
yeah.
Luger.
And you never get a menu there. You always get the bacon appetizer, the tomato onion salad, of course,
John puts the bacon on the tomato onion salad.
yeah, and then the
Why
porterhouse
not? Why not?
with the hash browns and the cream spinach.
Hash
and then
browns.
For dessert, you get a schlag.
See, he
And,
sucks at
yeah.
rapid fire too.
Yeah, this is slow fire.
That's slow fire. Well, you see, the problem is we keep doing all this food talk, and I just keep getting hungrier and hungrier.
Oh,
All right, this one, transportation, subway or taxi?
Oh, both. Well, it depends what
Subway-
time of day it is.
Yeah, Subway's actually depending on where you're going. If you're going uptown or downtown, Subway's just a lot quicker.
It's just more efficient.
If I'm going to Yankee Stadium, I can be there in like 25 minutes on the 6 train or the 456. Taking a cab, it's going to take me an hour and a half, depending on traffic.
Well, now it's all Uber. It's not even cabs.
Right.
anymore. Right. And you get rated, for God's sake. You're not going to get rated on a subway. At least I don't think so. Not last time I was on. But generally speaking, we walk or drive ourselves or take a subway.
okay,
I
fair.
think
What about, we'll keep the travel theme. Will you go JFK or LaGuardia?
We
Well-
can't go either. We have to fly private because we have an 82-pound dog with us.
Well, it also depends
That's
where
fair.
we're going. I mean, if we're flying internationally, you have to go to JFK because LaGuardia doesn't have international flights.
But if we're
But-
flying private, we go to
If-
Teterboro. We don't own a private plane, by the by. That's just a cheap thing. Just
I was going to say,
Nick will let you borrow his.
LaGuardia is a lot closer to our apartment in Manhattan. More
Yeah,
convenient.
when we take
Easier to get to LaGuardia.
like if I'm going on a press thing or a book thing,
right.
yeah, LaGuardia is absolutely.
Yeah, if
the
we're flying to
closest.
like Chicago or Atlanta or something, we're
But I
gotta
don't
go
like
to
the
LaGuardia.
smell of the soft pretzel. Yeah,
If you guys,
butter.
if you, so for Nick's going to ask you the next one. If you guys just want to pick one, that's fine. But it's totally up to you.
all right.
I'm just messing with you guys. You guys are awesome. This is awesome. It's so much better than just one-word answers. Keep going.
We're such
So the-
knuckleheads. I apologize.
I love it. He goes, but if we're going to Chicago, maybe. Yeah, but I don't like the smell.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
We're going to Copenhagen. We're not flying to JFK. Probably Terminal 1.
And then when you go to the lounge, you ask for this guy.
All right, next one up. I feel like I know the answer, but I have to ask it anyway. The best borough.
Best borough?
Yep.
Well, we live in Manhattan, so I'm going to say Manhattan.
I'm going to say Brooklyn because all of my favorite restaurants are in Brooklyn. Olmsted, so many. There's just so many. I love the food in Brooklyn. I love the food in New York too, though. But near the bridge, the Fulton is amazing also. Yeah. I love every part of New York. I really do. I used to live in Queens. I was mugged twice there, so I have kind of mixed about it. But I love the. I think of the boroughs as the great food you can get in each of them. And Staten Island is where the Italian grandmas run their own restaurant. And I love the Bronx too. I think that the
Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
Hello.
I mean, the Bronx is
and Arthur Ave
part of us.
For all the good
oh my
food.
God! And Arthur Avenue. I've spent so many beautiful, happy hours there with so many great people. I have lived in upstate New York and New York City all of my adult life. I have split my time between both. I'm 53 years old, and I have spent my time for 30 years and more between the two. I know all of our boroughs, and I truly have come to know the people in them, and I love and value all of them. I really do. John and I, over the years, this is not a joke, we take staycations in our own city. We'll rent a room at the one in Brooklyn so we can roller skate by the water, at the park, which is right next to the one. Like we are people that vacation in our own city. And no joke. As long as they take a dog, we go and spend a night in a different borough, in a different neighborhood to have the experience of being in that community because we love it so much. We really are true New Yorkers in that we love our state and our city. And we love going to the stadium. We love going to ballparks. We love going to every borough, every neighborhood. We eat high, we eat low.
We do have to go to Jersey to
We're
watch
very
football.
Adventurous. Yes, we do technically go to Jersey to watch football.
You guys, have you thought about a career in political office? Maybe running for office in New York?
Oh, no. Do you watch the news ever?
No. I mean, that was just a really good speech. You don't have to answer any questions. You can just talk about how great New York is. It was awesome.
Career.
Mark doesn't watch the news or read newspapers. He can't do any of that.
Club, and we talk once a week, every week for about an hour, a group of friends that are conservative and liberal, and we talk. We may be I hope we're not the only, but we may be one of the few small pockets of people that still talk to each other from each side. And every week we talk to each other about politics. And the one thing we all agree upon is what a horrible time to be a politician. And there's just no win for anybody right now because the country is just so divided. But we keep trying, and our little conversations certainly make me feel better. Sometimes John joins in too, but it's really so important that we keep the lines of communication open. Can you guys hear that there's a piano tuner in the house and he's tuning the piano in the background? They probably think there's something weird going on in their show.
Spooky music.
Like he's going, bing,
No, no, you guys are awesome.
For the basement for Christmas, when it was Christmas, it was his big Christmas gift. It's an upright, and every time you move a piano, especially in the cold, it has to be retuned. So the piano tuner could only come today.
Yeah, this is the only day he was available.
It's all good. He's welcome on the show.
But then we moved our time, so now you're here while he's tuning the piano. Yay.
It's all good. We can handle it. I loved what you said about talking with your friends. I loved the open lines of communication. I love keeping it positive, and I loved your message about New York. I think that's uplifting. And we have one more for you about New York. Broadway show or a movie theater? I think this one's a slam dunk, but go ahead.
Oh,
Well,
it depends.
It depends on the show. And it depends on the movie.
The last
But-
thing we saw on Broadway was,
The American Utopia,
which
David
is
Byrne.
incredible,
It's
life
amazing.
changing,
Very
and
good.
I am an enormous. My four favorite single artists. Well, the top two are probably David Byrne and David Bowie.
Right.
Yeah, David Byrne and David Bowie, and Prince and Stevie Wonder. So, most important band to me was Beatles. You didn't ask any of that. But that was the last show we saw on Broadway, and we loved it, and we were jumping and cheering in the aisles. And it was the day before they shut down the world in New York. It was like the 11th of March. It was seriously the day before they closed
we
our lives, everything.
It snuck
The
right in there.
studio, we snuck in there the last day. And then movies, we love Alamo Drafthouse. We fell in love with it in Austin, Texas, a home away from home for us.
Now they have two.
And
in
now
New York.
they have two in New York. We love
cool.
going to Alamo because they make their own trailers and their own pre-show game.
And you get to eat.
And you have really good food. And they have a full bar, and they make real popcorn in a giant bowl.
And you get a nice recliner.
Oh my God, and you
and
get a
a
recliner.
little
Nice.
table.
I love it so much. So we love Alamo in New York and Brooklyn, and we love Broadway, depending on the show. And thank you, David Byrne, for giving us our favorite last memory of Broadway.
Yes.
That was awesome.
I love it. I mean, you did explain it perfectly, so I understand why there's both. So we'll accept that answer. Rachel and John, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a blast. I know Mark and I really appreciate it. And you know, it was awesome being able to talk to you.
Sorry we talked too much.
No, you're fine.
No.
That was good.
We like
This
you
was
at your
fantastic.
podcast.
No, most people we can't get to talk. Nobody says anything. They just say yes, no, sometimes maybe, and then
We
they
don't
move on.
have a
You guys are
problem with
amazing.
the whole talking thing over here.
You're great.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thanks
having
for
us.
having
Nick.
us.
Thank
We
you for
love
having
Appreciate it,
you.
guys. What an incredible interview. Thank you to Rachel and John. Such great stories. I mean, what a heck of a ride this last couple of years in their house. Impressive stuff. And God, that made me really hungry, and it made me excited for a little off season. So I guess I'll ask you, Nick, what was your favorite off season adventure?
Off-season adventure. Does the night we were in Vegas count?
I don't know what
Slapbacks
you're
and
talking
whatnot?
about, Nick.
I don't know.
It's weird. This thing doesn't work
that's
anymore. Hello, hello.
Does anybody hear
It's
me?
crazy.
Anybody?
I lost all comms, but I'll go. Let's see. When the guys come out and we worked on football in the off season, Jets West.
Jets West.
about
There
that?
it is, baby.
I still got the merch.
We'll take that. No, I think my favorite off season, which happened to be the weirdest off season, was the lockout year.
Ooh.
2011, right?
Yeah.
I just had my first son, so while technically it was off season and we didn't have like OTAs or mini camps or anything, so he was born in February, Super Bowl Sunday, in fact.
Ooh.
Yeah, that little fun fact.
Kinda cool.
I had the ability to be with him from the time he was born all the way up to training camp, which was, not expected, because usually, we'd have OTAs, we'd have off-season workouts, we'd have mandatory mini camps. So to have that time, was weird and stunk, because we'd rather be doing football stuff, obviously. But it was also like, well, but I also have this newborn, and I get to hang out with him for like 6 straight months. So that was probably my favorite, I would say.
I love that.
Yours?
It was
I
Jets
know, right?
West.
I'm a big old softy.
It's Jets
No.
West football 24/7.
24. That's all you did.
365.
You never went to a beach. Never
Once.
went anywhere tropical once.
One beach. I almost say Mark Brunell saved my life scuba diving one time.
How is that not the
In the
number one?
Caribbean.
Like, hey, listen,
That
I'm
was-
still alive
yeah.
because Mark Brunell.
So they tried to
All
give
right,
me
hit
this
me with the
crash
story.
course. They tried to give me like a 20-minute crash course on how to scuba dive. I wasn't certified, which is like really dangerous. Looking back, it was completely idiotic. However, we all felt good. I was like, yeah, dude, I can figure it out. I reassured them that I was ready to go, had no clue what was going on. And as soon as we went down, we were probably, 60 feet below the surface, which once you get to a certain depth, you can't just go up super fast and like bail, even though you'd probably hold your breath and be fine. You'd probably live and be okay. But you can really mess yourself up. You can get the bends. You can just basically jack yourself up. So we go down, there's like 4 of us. And what you don't think about, which is silly, is you can't communicate underwater. Obviously, you can't yell to your partner. It's like hand signals. So it's like shark and like, turtle and like stupid stuff like that. But you can't talk. So there's these hand signals and stuff that we really didn't rehearse well. And so instead of giving the okay, which means I'm good, I kept going like this, which means go up. And so they're like, what's wrong? You can't breathe, like checking all my stuff multiple times. And then finally I was like, I'm out of here, and was ready to just go to the surface, which is super dangerous. So Brunel just grabbed me, waves everybody away, and keeps me below the surface and like calms me down to breathe because I was starting to panic, which is the worst thing to do. Then everybody's gone. I don't see anything. I hear like a ferry going over us because we're in this channel, and I just see these like giant propellers in this huge boat, and they're like right above us, and I'm kind of freaking out, and Brunel just kind of calms me down. And he teaches me how to breathe and go up and down, adjusting your air and all that stuff underwater in like the next half hour. And I went through my air so fast because I was breathing way too fast, totally hyperventilating. But yeah, long story longer, it was a rough one and probably the worst decision I made. And if I told Mike Tannenbaum and Rex that, they might have cut me on the spot because it was bad. It was really bad.
There's definitely a real possibility they may have done that. But they didn't. So, I'm glad they didn't, because it now gives us the opportunity to do this podcast, which was, I think, our best episode yet. It was a ton of fun. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Really appreciate it. And stay tuned for the next one.
So don't forget to rate, review, follow, and listen, and, of course, share on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Mark Sanchez, and this is Nick Mangold for The Exchange.